It all starts with this. This is the ultimate power.
Hello everybody, it's me, your good friend Sparky, and welcome back to Sonic Heroes. Today we're continuing our adventures through the park, but this time with Team Rose.
Oh, I can't believe he did that just so he could get away. Mr. Sonic must be really... Really? What? Nothing. Now I know what to do. Find Eggman and I'll find my Sonic. You all ready? This city reminds me of Casino-opolis. Look at all those neon signs.
The city that never sleeps.
Nice bit of lovely little continuity there by talking about Casino-opolis. It's little details like that that truly do make Sonic Heroes feel like a part of a extended storyline like that. Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2 are obviously a pair, and while they don't have a lot to do with each other, there are little continuity bits like that between the two games that really sort of connect the games together and make it feel like they take place in the same world. In Sonic Heroes, it's even more drastically different than either adventure game, but little bits like that, little callbacks and things of the sort, again, it really makes it feel like it's all like a complete story. Sonic Adventure kind of started off like a four-part narrative. Which started with that game, then to Sonic Adventure 2, then Sonic Heroes, and later it would finish off with Shadow the Hedgehog. After that, the Sonic games really started to be more individual, one after the other. And honestly, I always felt like that was a bit of a shame. It wasn't until we got like a game like Sonic Generations, whose entire purpose was like a little historical callbacks and things like that, that we started to get more of a sign of the games kind of connecting together and feeling like they all take place along the same storyline. Whereas a game like Sonic Unleashed or Sonic Colors, they're pretty much completely individual to each other. In fact, even after Sonic Generations, we really didn't get another Sonic game like that until the likes of Sonic Frontiers, which had a lot of little lore things and sort of added to the mythos of the world. It was a really nice return to form that I think was sort of missing in Sonic games for a long time. Which is why games like Unleashed and Colors and Lost World, while I like them all in their own right, for their own individual reasons, they usually don't rank very high on my list of favorite Sonic games, just because they feel very distant from the rest of the series. But that's really my own sort of personal opinion, honestly. And, hey, while I was rambling, that's the end of that stage. Even for a Team Rose stage, this one feels like it's pretty darn short. You don't really get a lot of time to enjoy the pinball mechanics, but at the same time, there's also less opportunity for the pinball mechanics to kind of mess you up and glitch out and cause you to fall off the stage and things like that. So, you know, I guess it all works out in the end, you could say. But score counting down, we're not quite done with Team Rose yet. We still need to move on to their Bingo Highway stage, which in turn gives us the opportunity to talk a little more about the power character of the team. Like we talked about Knuckles and Omega last time, we should talk about Big the Cat and exactly how he ends up performing. Because, in all honesty, in comparison, he is quite different from the way he operates. The power characters come in two distinct sort of forms in this game. I believe I had mentioned already that Knuckles, I consider him a melee-style power character, and Omega is much the same. They fight primarily on the ground and up close and personal, and while they do have projectile options, it doesn't always come to the forefront as much. Big, however, is what I like to call a shooting-style power character, in the sense that he sort of loads up his teammates as ammunition and then fires them out to do battle and attack enemies with them. In this case, he puts Amy and Cream on his shoulders with his first swing of his fishing rod, and then after that, he uses the fishing rod like a bat and knocks his teammates into enemies in order to destroy things. He fights primarily by doing that, and by extension, fights long range instead of using his fists like Knuckles and Omega do. Because of that, too, he ends up just being kind of a completely different experience in comparison. He does, of course, have his own level-up, power-up system in play, where gradually, as he levels up, his fishing lure ends up coming into play, where he swings it around him and it starts to do damage that way. It starts off as a regular fishing lure, then it turns into a life preserver, and then after that, it ends up turning into a spiked ball, giving him kind of a wide area of effect, sort of similar to Omega. In fact, as far as the power characters are concerned, with their, like, 3-hit combo that they gain after they start to level up, Knuckles is kind of the outlier, where he doesn't have a very wide range to his attack. Big, however, definitely does, and it ties further into him being sort of a long-range power fighter. Weirdly enough, though, he also doesn't have as much use in the air when it comes to his combat. He has to load his ammunition, his teammates, up before he can use the Fire Dunk move that Knuckles and Omega have more readily have access to. And after that, if he doesn't have his teammates in reserve, instead he starts to do a belly flop move when you hit the B button in the air. It's definitely interesting how it all works out, because he ends up being more melee-focused in the air rather than on the ground, where Knuckles and Omega are more melee-focused on the ground instead of being in the air. So they kind of go back and forth and sort of trade places like that, depending on who you're playing as. Big also does have his own gliding move, which is his Parasol, which is a bit of a new addition to his character in this game. In fact, I've never actually been totally sure if he's using his fishing rod or his Parasol when he's doing his primary combat maneuvers. The Parasol also ends up making an appearance during their Team Blast, where he sort of balances his teammates above him in their playful little maneuver. It's a lot of fun to watch, honestly. They definitely ended up making Big the Cat fall off cliffs. And they also ended up making Big the Cat a lot more unique and individual in this game too, which I definitely appreciate, because before this point in Sonic Adventure, he definitely was sort of a joke. No matter how much anyone would say that they actually really enjoyed the fishing mechanics, which honestly I kind of do. Pick the Cat, yeah, he definitely had a reputation for a really long time of being a sort of lame Sonic character. But this particular game and this particular journey he's on definitely ended up bringing him sort of forward as more of a powerhouse sort of character rather than just a strong character who fishes. But we're not quite done with Team Rose yet, even though they're done with their stages. We are moving on to the third Emerald Challenge with them. If I'm being perfectly honest, if you ever find yourself in a position where you're playing this game for the first time or playing it for the first time in a long time and you're doing the special stages, I would almost recommend doing them exclusively as Team Rose if you can manage it. Because, on one hand, you have to consider the fact that in order to even get access to the special stage, you have to get to the end of the stage with the special stage key, which requires not taking damage after you collect it. So, if you're trying to do the special stages with Team Sonic, Team Dark, or Team Chaotix, there's a lot more opportunities in their stages to take damage and lose the key. Mostly because they are longer, and there's a lot more enemies. When you're playing as Easy Mode Team Rose, it gives you much more of an opportunity to successfully get to the end of the special stage with the special stage key in tow. So, it makes getting the Chaos Emeralds a lot easier. But that's gonna be it for Team Rose for now. We need to move back to our other team for the episode Team Chaotix. And we also get an opportunity here to talk about Vector the Crocodile. But we'll talk about that after our mission briefing.
Let me go! Let me go! I want to play!
Fancy place!
Where there's light, there's shadow. Careful.
Yahoo! Here's your next mission. Disguise yourself as an infiltrate into the city. Goal is to collect 200 rings. This is a test of luck.
Oh boy, they let Charmy into a casino. This is probably not going to end very well, but hey, what can you do? Boss's orders are orders. But yes, our mission this time is all about collecting rings, 200 of them. And in all reality, if you're lucky enough, because as he mentioned, this is sort of a test of luck, you can end up completing this mission pretty quickly. On one hand, you could just stick around the pinball tables and just continually go into the slot machines. If you manage to hit a jackpot, it can give you a lot of rings all at once. But an easier way I find is to try and make your way through the stage like normal and try to build up your Team Blast gauge. Because, as we've mentioned, Team Chaotix's Team Blast grants them rings every time they defeat an enemy while the Team Blast is active. So, if you find a nice group of enemies to attack with the Team Blast, they can give you quite a few rings all at once, and you can end up completing this mission rather quickly, should you be so lucky. Other than that, it's just a matter of how lucky you are, or how good at you are at avoiding enemies and avoiding falling off the stage, because obviously, if you get hit, or you lose a life, there go all your rings. No matter how many checkpoints you hit, it's not going to save your ring count at all. So, it's definitely a matter of luck, and it's definitely a matter of being very, very careful. And also building up that Team Blast gauge. Like, right here, we've got it ready. But we also just have to find the right group of enemies to attack. We can probably get to one relatively soon, but it's also definitely going to require actually getting off of the pinball tables first. And getting away from the slot machines and getting away from all the bumpers bouncing you around, which is honestly sometimes a lot harder than you would think. It really shouldn't be that difficult, but yet I find myself continually struggling with it. And there's that warping glitch with the team swapping. I tried to switch back to Vector, just try to save face, but he somehow ended above a pit and fell to his doom. So, yeah. Oh well. We can get out as Charmy and SBO fast enough. There's our team. Okay, they decided to join us. Yeah.
Here we go!
I don't know if that's necessarily could be considered a glitch though, or more of just a quirk of the engine. But, what can you do? Not really much to be done about it now. And hey, now that we're off the pinball tables, it's finally time to find some enemies to use our Team Blast on, once we gather a couple more rings. Though honestly, it's kind of debatable if you even really need the Team Blast, because we're already at 150 rings. It does help out though. If we were extra lucky and we ended up getting a full, like, 20-ring box from each of those enemies we just defeated there, we would have finished the mission right away, and that would have cut a little bit of time off of our completion here. But that's really just as much a matter of luck as the rest of the stage is. You can't always rely on the Team Blast, but it definitely comes in handy when you get to use it. And you can also kind of mess around and just fill up your Team Blast gauge by just doing random things too, if you want to. It's just a matter of how much time you really want to waste. But hey, that is it for that mission. We got 200 rings. We finished with 200 rings. We can't finish without 200 rings, which is kind of funny, actually.
Perfect! The work of professionals!
Professionals indeed, Vector. And speaking of Vector, I did promise that we're going to talk about him a little in our continued conversation of the power characters. But first, our mission, if you please.
Here's your next mission. And that's the next part. Choose to enter the hideout. Collect 10 chips. I'll take the lead.
And we ain't talking about potato chips, we're talking about poker chips. I guess they didn't want to directly reference poker in a kid's game? So they're just chips. They're just chips. They ain't computer chips, but they're chips. And this is more or less a variation on the Hermit Crab mission, so again, like that mission, if you know the stage well enough, you can actually finish this pretty quickly. It's just a matter of getting to the most effective, efficient chip gathering locations first. But yeah, let's talk about Vector a little bit. A lot like Big, he is the projectile style of power character.
Here we go.
Rather than hitting his teammates at the enemies with a bat or the like, or like he was hitting them with a bat, rather, he is instead picking up his teammates in his mouth and then spitting them at enemies. Which I really don't know which one would be worse. Would you rather be knocked towards someone like you're a baseball, or picked up in someone's mouth and then spat out at your enemy? It's a little uncomfortable, and either way, but the, I don't know, the mouth one sounds a little more icky, if I'm being perfectly honest. Do you really know when the last time Vector brushed his teeth is? He's constantly chewing on bubblegum, so you never really know if his mouth is clean. Or if he's got good teeth in there, you know, sounds a little gross. But, that's besides the point, I guess. Vector, that's his method of attack primarily. Picks his teammates up, and then spits them out at the enemies. Vector, of course, also has his own individual level up function, his own level up technique, rather. And he's also got his own glider. The glider, creatively, is a giant bubblegum bubble, which, yeah, like I said, he's constantly chewing bubblegum. Also, this little fun part, trying to gather this poker chip and completely failing. But, you know, that was a little embarrassing. Did not quite hit it, could not quite get SBO to grab it, but there you are. But yeah, Vector uses his bubblegum to make his team float through the air and take fans up. And when in the air, he also uses the fireball dunk a lot like Big does, where he has to have his ammunition loaded first. And on the ground, he has his own level 3 technique, where he continues with this trend of using his mouth to fight. It starts off where he spits music notes out at the enemy, which is an interesting way to attack, but again, so is spitting your friends at them. And it powers up further into a stream of fire, so that one's actually a lot like Omega's. But his level 3 power-up is definitely the most interesting because he starts to spit bubble gum bubbles at enemies that then explode on contact. In all reality, his powers for his level up technique, his third hit of his 3-hit combo, they honestly feel like kind of they're just Omega's reskinned. So that's one aspect where Vector is kind of similar to a couple of different characters. He's almost like a combination of Big and Omega in a lot of ways. But in all reality, he still feels pretty unique when you put all those elements together. It's not like Omega and Knuckles, where their movesets are so darn similar that they might as well be the same character. It's just sort of a combination of elements to create something new. And honestly, the way it all combines, much like I really like SBO in this game, and much like I really like Charmy in this game, I really like Vector in this game too. Team Chaotix are just a really fun team to play as overall. But hey, that's going to be it for right now. We've collected all those poker chips, and we could have collected them a little faster if I'm being perfectly honest, but that's all fine and dandy. We are going to end things off right here. Thank you very much for watching Sonic Heroes. This is your good friend Sparky signing off for now, and
Perfect! The work of professionals!
enjoy the bonus bits.
You guys again?
Dr. Eggman!
Him again.
Past your bedtime, kiddies! Now to tuck you in. Get them!
I think you underestimated our power! Dr. Eggman, please don't interrupt us!
Stay out of our way.
Level up!
Oh.
Dr. Eggman, you've made quite a mess here. I'll accept your apologies as payment for your lives. Want some? Come and get it.
On guard.
Guard on!
Get them!
We'll hold nothing back since you're our client's enemy.
We're here to fight the bad guy!
Get ready! Here we come!